Hello, this is Janise Wiggins. I'm the CEO and principal grant writer of Grant Me Success, and I'm here with Jay Haleem.
Does your roof need some love? Maybe a whole roof makeover? Rhino Roofing can make your roof as good as new. Any job, big or small, residential or commercial. Go to rhinolovesroofs.com to get a free estimate. That's Rhino Roofing at rhinolovesroofs.com to get the roof of your dreams. Rhino Roofing, Las Vegas's premier roofing company. rhinolovesroofs.com. That's rhinolovesroofs.com.
What's up, y'all? It's your boy, Jay Haleem. We are back for another session of In the Studio. Listen, I am so excited about having this guest here. I'm excited about all my guests because I have a nice team who picked the right people to come and talk to me. Trust me, after doing this for so long, it was times when I didn't want to talk to certain people in here. But it's been good to have a situation where I'm excited every time I have a guest coming on. And this young lady is no exception. You know, finding out some of the things that she's doing in the Valley here, knocking it out the park. These are things that are not highlighted enough. And so here in the studio, we want to make sure we're highlighting the things that need to be highlighted from our perspective. So without further ado, we have this lovely young lady, Miss Janise Wiggins. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much, Jay Haleem, for inviting me into the studio.
And listen, you know, it was a very easy choice to ask you to come out here, just seeing what you're doing. Again, everybody wants to start a nonprofit. Everybody, I used to hate when people say they want to start nonprofit, especially people that look like us, because it seemed like it was just a reason, and I'm being perfectly transparent, for them to ask for money. Now, I am an entrepreneur through and through. I want to put my money up, flip it, get it back, keep building. I used to be like, why you want to do that? But then people like yourself, I met individuals who started teaching about education, giving the education out about nonprofit and showing how you can actually move the community forward. Yeah. And that's what you're doing. Absolutely. And so that's one of the things that I wanted. I was like, oh, okay, it makes sense now. Because I'm sure you see, everybody got a nonprofit. How can I go get money from this place? But they don't got no business structure set up. They don't know what they want, but they coming to you trying to get you to give them some money. So before we get into that, because I ain't gonna get on my soapbox.
That's all right. I'm ready.
It's just, how did you get into this space, and what keeps you going in this space?
Yeah. So I guess I'll start from the very beginning. My introduction to the nonprofit sector was actually me myself going to a nonprofit organization and participating in their services. I'm originally from Los Angeles, California. Okay. The inner city. And I went to the YMCA. Okay. And that's a nonprofit organization, a institutional, I would say, nonprofit organization that's been around for centuries now.
Educate us on that. Years. Educate everybody on that, because a lot of people don't think about that. Like, absolutely. Everybody go to the Y, and they don't know that it's a nonprofit. They don't know. They just know that it's there. It's an institutional nonprofit. What's the difference between a traditional and institutional?
Well, I call it institutional because it's been around for so long, right? They've been able to build a structure, as you were referring to, that the founders of that organization, bingo, dead and gone, right? Yes. But the organization is still proliferating. Yeah. It is still growing. You still have chapters across the country. Yeah. And I would guess to venture, maybe even internationally, right? That there are some offices of the YMCA. But I was engaged in a program there where they taught the youth about, it was called Youth in Government. Okay. And it taught youth about how to participate and be engaged in the political process and the government process. And there was a trip that the Y had organized to go and take the students up to Sacramento, California, to be able to observe the how government is in action.
Wow.
And participate in some mock trials and mock legislative hearings, and teach us about that. Well, this trip was going to be like a 4-day trip, and it cost money to go on that trip. Well, my family didn't have the money to allow me to go on that trip. And so there were scholarships that were available that were provided to the students through grants.
Love it.
And so that was my very first introduction into grants and what a grant could do to help the community, is that I was a personal beneficiary of a nonprofit organization getting access to grant funding to help inner city youth like myself to learn about the governmental process.
Wow. What was the span of time from that experience that you had to when you decided to start helping other people with grants?
So other things took place.
Of course,
in my life, right?
I'm going someplace. I'm going somewhere with that.
But I landed at college at Cal State LA. I'm going to shout out Cal State LA. They're not my alma mater, but I started there as a freshman in college. In pursuit of higher education. One of the things that my mom always instilled in me, she was a teenage mother, had me when she was 15 years old, and always said, your education is going to get you far. She wasn't a college graduate. No one in my family was a college graduate, but she was determined to make me first generation college student, and not just college student, but graduate of college. Now, she didn't know how she was going to get me there because she didn't have any money, to get me there. But there's this amazing thing called a FAFSA, and scholarships and grants out there, back to that word grants. And somehow I landed at Cal State LA and decided to study social work because there was a social worker that helped me at some point in my life. And so that's how I kind of began to learn a bit more about nonprofits and grants, because a lot of social workers in that sector work for nonprofit organizations or government entities. So
again, when was the last time, like from time you got the introduction to it till you started helping people get grants? How long was that time frame?
So when you talk about helping people to get grants, that was a longer stretch of time. So I graduated from social work program because I moved and relocated here to Las Vegas and graduated from UNLV.
Oh, so that UNLV is your alma mater.
Yes, that's my alma mater. Shout out to UNLV. So got my bachelor's there, and then I went back to school to get a master's, but my master's was in public administration. I jumped ship a little bit. I did that because I realized that I was interested in affecting policy and influencing change in rules and regulations. There were so many rules and regulations in the field of social work that people would not qualify for programs because they were like $1 over income. And I didn't like what I was seeing. My mom raised me to be what I've come to understand and call and name humbly defiant. I'm a humbly defiant person. Maybe it's the Virgo in me, I'm not sure. But I wanted to push the envelope. And so I knew I didn't want to go the clinical route. I wanted to be more on the administrative side of social work and be able to influence change in policy. During my master's program is where I took maybe like 2 courses, one in nonprofit leadership and then one in grant writing. And that was my introduction to grants at the collegiate level. Now in 2015, so this is maybe now, let's say 20 years from when I graduated from high school or had a teenage experience about nonprofit and grants, I attended a workshop hosted here at UNLV through the Brookings Institute. And what they shared at that time is that the state of Nevada is something called a donor state. Sounds interesting. Sounds like it could be good, but it's actually not good. A donor state means that the state of Nevada, you as a taxpayer, me as a taxpayer, everybody out there who's living in Nevada and paying state taxes, we are giving away more money in federal dollars, federal taxes to the federal government than we receive back in grant funds to help our community.
Wow.
So when I learned that information, I said, wow, okay, what can we do to change it? and not only we, but me.
Yeah.
What can I do to change that? Well, years before I had heard that information, around 2003, I was working at the Southern Nevada Health District.
Okay.
And I was sharing an office with one of the only Black females within the Southern Nevada Health District that was a management analyst. Okay?
Don't stop you. Don't take away my interview.
I'm not going to take away your
because I wanted to ask you about that.
Okay.
So we never got my answer from my
I did,
question.
about 20 years.
Yeah,
about 20 years.
Because I wanted to make sure. I wanted to make sure. One of the things I like to know, like when people get exposed to something, they say that things you get exposed to when you're like 14, 15, 16 years old is what you probably should be doing. But a lot of times we feel like we can't go back, or we can't let the parts of life that we experienced before we come back to that place. It kind of derail us. And people, especially you go through college, to say you wanted to be a lawyer, things happened at the undergrad, you didn't go, and they'll never go back. But you've been dreaming about that. And so I wanted to hear that portion of it, like, oh, wow, it still was sticking in your craw.
It was still in me.
And then even every place that you went, you were still, that, like you said, that word grant.
Yep.
Helping people, social work, all that stuff kept presenting itself. And that's what I wanted my people to hear from you, like, hey, you know, this is what's going on. Hey, if you know this right now, because I got a thing for kids. Yeah, that's when I went left in my life as a child, nobody around. And look, kids, listen to this. If you're going to school, if you want to make an adjustment, you can. You got to go to a different school. You know, moving, because that's not, I mean, it's not a big move, but it's a big enough move to come from LA to here, especially all those years ago.
Oh,
you know, now it's a little bit better.
Yeah, this was like in the mid 90s, and
so
I didn't know
place.
Anybody.
And it's a different place now. You know, like Vegas, they have nothing compared to what they have now. And then coming from LA to here, and we didn't even touch that part. And I want people to, you know, to really get it. You know, I want them to really understand, like, you're a woman. Then we throw in Black woman, coming from LA to the desert, going through all the changes, doing whatever you're doing, and then still being able to get to this space. Yeah. That's inspiring in itself. But I do want to go back to the health portion, because I know I read that about you. Oh. So, and I was going to ask you, how did you
did his research,
exactly. Y'all. So that's what I'm saying. So we going to get there, but you know, because I want to connect it all and see how you get from this part to this part. And then I want to know. I'll tell you what I want to know afterwards. But go ahead. Okay. Go ahead back to the health part.
So while I was working at the Southern Nevada Health District, I met a lady and actually shared an office with her. And she was one of the only Black female management analysts at the health department at that time. And I was like, wow, you know, that was inspiring to me. Yeah. Right. She was a couple of years my senior, and I would hear her talking these numbers, right? Just talking her stuff, doing her stuff with regards to grants and budgets. Yeah. And it was something that I didn't know that I yearned to know about, but I was just in that space again, like you said, right? It was coming upon me. Yeah,
basically. It kept throwing it in your face everywhere you went. You couldn't shake it.
Absolutely. Right? And I had no interest, I thought, in writing grants. But I would hear her talking her stuff. Yeah. And I wanted to be able to eventually talk my stuff one day, right? So I asked her, I said, hey, would you teach me about grants? Would you teach me about budgets? Would you teach me about the fiscal side of things, the money side of things, right? It's not something that I really grew up knowing about, right? Being taught about financial literacy. Yeah. I don't think that I was strong necessarily in math, right? Yeah. At that time, it was something that eventually I came to learn. But hey, I was in the health and human services sector, right? I was in the social sciences, not necessarily the hard sciences, right? STEM was not my thing, right? So she said, yeah, I'll mentor you and I'll teach you about these budgets and what you see on my screen and everything like that. But one thing even better, she said, I want you to go and become a federal grant reviewer. And that was the gateway.
Let me tell you something. The fact that a Black woman asked another Black woman to help them. Yeah. And she said yes. Yeah. Is what we got to continue to repeat. Absolutely. And repeat and repeat, because they keep saying that don't happen. They keep saying it won't happen. They keep saying that we don't do that. Sisters don't do that. But you asked one time. Yep. You had to go through no hoops. No. You had to, do anything crazy. You asked, and the sister said yes.
She did.
Give a round of applause for that sister. I don't know what her name is, but I mean, so we got to highlight that type of stuff. You know what I mean? Because that's all you hearing on social media. Oh, man, you know, sister going, nah, we can't help each other.
Absolutely.
We don't talk about it enough. I was saying, all we talking about is ultra poor people and ultra rich people. And it's all these people in the middle that nobody want to talk about. And that's what we get caught up in. You know what I'm saying? Like somebody going to come to you that's ultra poor, want a grant to start their business, never had no money in their life, never had $100,000, never had $50,000, but they want you to get them a grant. Knowing you're not going to do what you're supposed to do with it. Can't, because you're not. You're going to right all your wrongs. You think about it. You ain't never had no money. What's saying somebody give you $50,000, you gonna probably have the last 15 to work with. Because once you sort all your problems out, take care of all the stuff, right all your wrongs, right your mama wrongs, your boo thing wrong. Now you got 15 left. Now you're talking about running the business, and you're running why it don't work. So we need to start talking to these people that's in between, not the ultra poor and the ultra rich. And so this is what happens with these other people that's not talking about. Somebody actually will help you.
Yeah, they will.
If you ask. And you did. So I'm happy that you asked her.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You don't have that testimony, oh, nobody wouldn't help me. This is refreshing.
Yeah.
We always hear that story.
You have to seek. Yeah, you have to seek the information, right? We hear either biblical scriptures and references or Proverbs references that, if you seek, you shall find, right? So I've always been taught, like I said, my mom was a person that taught me to be humbly defiant and ask for what you want. Yeah, ask for what you want. Ask for what you need. I believe, and I've taught my children this as well, if you never ask, then the answer is still no.
Got that
right? So why not ask? Because if you never ask, the answer is no.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Absolutely right. So you're working in the medical space.
Yep.
And so you're doing this on you're double dipping. You're working in the medical space and learning grants on the side, or
learning grants. So I had a manager, a director of the department who actually hired that black woman, right? White guy, hired me.
No.
Hired two other black women.
Not a white man hiring 4 black women. Does that happen in America?
It did at the Southern Nevada Health District.
There it is. Okay.
And he challenged me to do a couple of things, and that helped my writing skills. Okay, so I was good in school, right? Obviously good enough in high school to get to college, but I didn't, I tried to take some honors classes. I was like, pull me out that honors class. I'm trying to tell you, when I got to that honors trigonometry, I was like, go ahead and pull me out of that.
Trigonometry by itself is
pull me out of that.
Honors trigonometry.
Right? So writing, I think I was a good writer, right? A sufficient writer, but I don't think that I classified myself as an excellent writer. And that's what he challenged me to do. And so he said, I want you to write a guide for the department that I was working in within the health department was related to chronic disease, as well as communicable disease. And so he said, I want you to write a guide for people who are newly diagnosed with HIV.
Wow.
And I said, okay. So I had to do my research. Right. Yeah. And this is before ChatGPT. Okay. This is before AI. Okay. Of course we had the internet, right? This is like early 2000s. So I just had to go through just doing my research,
it
right?
Still wasn't like this though. It still wasn't nowhere near like what we can do.
Nothing
even
like what we could do
6-7 years
now.
ago before
Nothing
AI
like
really came out. So so you working.
And so I wrote this like 30 or 40 page guide for people who are newly diagnosed with HIV and helping them to understand what the disease is, how they could take care of themselves, what it looks like as far as when you go to the doctor, what type of questions you should be asking your doctor, what family members might need to know about it, what friends, what your sexual partners might need to know about it, what might you need to know about just keeping yourself safe and other people safe with this diagnosis. And because we know that a lot of people still live with that condition. Yeah, for a long time. And so because at that time, a lot of new medications were coming out and things like that. And so I was glad that he challenged me to do that. And so this was like a 35, 40-page guide, a document with graphs, charts, pictures, all this kind of stuff, references, and they printed and published it.
Wow.
Yeah. And you're a
writer now.
Writer now. And I said, wow, I did that. And so then I was like, I'm a published author now, yes. Under the guise of a grant.
No,
right? Because that was funded through monies provided from the Centers for Disease Control to the Southern Nevada Health District that helped me to learn a skill.
Yeah.
And to build the courage that, wow, I actually have a talent for writing, right?
For me, I'm hearing a lot in what you're saying. I love the mentorship. I love the challenging. But one thing that all falls around is a job, right? Yeah. Well, how do you feel about everybody not wanting a job and knowing that that's where you were able to hone your skills, where you were able to get the mentorship and you were able to get challenged to be and put yourself in the situation you are now? How do you feel about that?
Yeah. Well, two perspectives, because I had some experiences that helped me to also then become an entrepreneur or develop a mindset for entrepreneurship, right? But in college, the college experience is, quite frankly, unless you're in business school, is to teach you to get a job, right? The high school experience, unless you're maybe at a magnet school that teaches entrepreneurship, is to help you get a job. So I don't have a problem with people starting out with a 9-to-5 job, because I feel like it teaches you discipline and a lot of the concepts that you need to practice to be a good entrepreneur. Nobody wants to work with a lazy entrepreneur. Yeah. Nobody wants to pay a lazy entrepreneur. And you will not become wealthy being a lazy entrepreneur. And so I think that having a job is a great practice field for entrepreneurship.
Where else are you going to get the training? And this is where I'm saying, this is a person who has a degree, but I've been a full-time entrepreneur. I'm not going to go through my whole story right now, but been a full-time entrepreneur for a long time. I'm not against entrepreneurship. That's my life. Yeah. But I understand, actually I overstand the benefits of having a job. And like, okay, you coming from the hood of LA. How you going to know about writing a grant? You know what I'm saying? Like, so when you're going to college and you're getting these, this exposure to these different type of fields, yes, you're going to go work. Nobody say you had to stay there for 40 years. Now they did used to try to tell you that. Right. But nobody, it's like you have that thing with the fleas. I don't know if you ever saw that, where they put the fleas in a jar and they close the jar up for 3 days. Yeah. Then they open the jar after 3 days and the fleas wouldn't go out.
Right. They won't jump.
Nobody's stopping you from getting out. You're just caught up in a situation that you feel like you had to be at that job for 20 years. But you can go in that job and learn what you need to learn and do your own thing. But where are you going to learn it at?
Yeah, absolutely.
When you work for someone else, they give you the game. When you're trying to be their competition, they hold the game from you.
Oh, absolutely.
And so that's what I'm saying. So when you're going to this place, they're just, you're listening to this guy hiring black women. These people are telling you what to do. They're challenging you, knowing that you're going to be better. Once you do something like that, you don't go backwards. Right. Once you write something like that and get published, it's no going back. Even if you're trying to go back, it's kind of hard. People know you. You did that? Oh, can you help me with this? Right. Your phone start ringing. Your emails start going off. That happens there. Then you have a safe place. Yeah. I say a safe place because you're getting paid. Not doing it for free. You're getting paid to do it. Yeah. You get paid to learn. Why? And I say that for our people. Yeah. Because we're behind.
Let me tell you what else that job did for me.
Okay.
Number one, it was an excellent training ground. Number two, it allowed me to have a place for advancement, right? Because I said, oh, okay, if I see her in this position, possibly I can be in that position, right? At some point. So I was able to build a mindset for advancing in my career. Yeah. And then benefits, of course, right? I had health care. There was a gentleman who pulled me to the side, and he had military experience. I'm a black guy, older black guy, when I worked at the health department. And so he called everyone by their last name. And so he would pull me to the side and call me by my last name. And he said, I want you to invest. That was my introduction to investment. And I said, well, what do you mean? He said, we have something here at the health department called deferred compensation.
Love it.
And it's not a 401k because that's in the for-profit sector, but it's something called a 403b.
Yeah.
And that's what they have for government employees or in the nonprofit sector to be able to stack some money away, that income that you're earning now, but you defer that income until later on in your retirement, but you're allowing that deferred income to grow tax-free. And so he gave me that game, and he said, you don't have to do a whole lot. Just do $50 per paycheck.
And some of it they match.
Year, some employers match. And then he said, and then next year, increase it to $100 per paycheck, then $200 per paycheck. So I took his advice, and that's what I learned by having that job as well, is saving and investing.
Yeah, and you about to have me do a Holy Ghost dance.
I know, right?
Because, no, it's, again, we're going to get back to the business of it because I love that part. But we have to get training. We have to know. I can give you $1 million with no information, no advancement, no training, no none of that, and you're not going to win. You're just going to keep going to the mall, and you're going to spend all your money. So you don't know how to go down that path. You're learning the path. You've seen the steps up. Oh, well, I can go here. I can go here. Even if it's not in the job that you saw her at, because maybe she's not going away for the next 15 years. You know that position is somewhere else. So you can go there, or you can create it yourself.
Right.
And you seeing how she's doing it. She's telling you everything because y'all got to work with each other. You know, you know the resources. You go to a restaurant, you know every place they order their forks at, you know, everywhere, you know, all the people that's showing up. You see them, the trucks dropping off. You know it. You got to get in there to learn something. I've said, what you going to do, knock people over the head? We got to get some money some way so that we can start these businesses. And then the bank's not loaning you no money if you don't have no money in the bank. You know what I'm saying? So you're not going to get a grant if you're not showing the grant writer or the government that you've done this work already, that you know anything about this work. You got some skin in the game. None of that stuff. So why are we running from the training grant?
The job, that job also allowed me to have, not that job, but a job prior to that, allowed me to have the financial documentation and records to become a homeowner. In 1999, I purchased, my husband at the time and I purchased our first home. No one in my family that I ever knew owned a home in LA, right? We all rented. Now, my grandparents owned a home prior to me being born, but they lost that home, right? Wonder why. But I was able to purchase a home, and I was like 22, 23. That's what that job did for me, is it allowed me to have the income, the tax records to be able to purchase a home. See, at such a young age.
Real conversation, y'all, because at the end of the day, like I said, we in here talking about this business, and we're going to really segue into that. But this is how you become a great entrepreneur, because you don't have these pitfalls that everybody has to go through. Everybody don't have to get it out of the mud. I know that sound cute, but the people who really got out of the mud will tell you, don't go through the mud. Please avoid the mud at all costs.
Right.
But we're trying to manufacture testimonies, you know what I'm saying, trying to get in here and force God's hand when you got paths and ways. Because if you got the house you want, or at least for the time, you got a 5 to 10 year window where you can build your business. You're not worried about where you're going to live. You know what I'm saying? If you got some health insurance, and you can get health insurance without a job, but the job teaches you how to navigate that space. So you can get that. At least they might, even if you got a good job, they're helping you pay it, or paying it, you know, back in those days. Not now, they ain't really paying it no more. But back in the day, you can land a job who will pay it for you, you know. So you can get that first 5 or 10 years of hardship out of the way. And then when you step off, you ain't worried about anything anymore. But we're putting ourselves through these hardships, and we're losing fast, and we're losing our money, we're losing our resources, and people are just like, all right, go. But we keep falling by the wayside as black people because we won't do any sure things. We're running from the 99% sure thing for the 1% lottery ticket, you know. And again, coming back to your business.
Shout out to the lottery. They fund some education in California.
Yeah, they need to come on over here so everybody can stop driving to California to do their thing and actually do what y'all say y'all going to do. But yeah, so then, you know, coming back to your business, people are coming to you waiting for that lottery ticket. Like, hey, they're stressing you out. Because they might have gave you a couple dollars. They gave you a couple dollars and they sitting there and you trying to help them out. You trying to look out and they thinking that you supposed to get them $1 million grant, out of nowhere. So let's talk about some of those experiences.
Yeah. I'm going to talk about how I started the business.
Yeah, please.
But let me reverse, because you were trying to make some connections earlier and now it's coming to me to connect the dots.
Please.
That job that allowed me to purchase a home at like 22, 23 years old here in Las Vegas, do you know what that job was? It was the very first job that I got here working in Las Vegas. And it was the YMCA. Uh-oh. It was the YMCA. That was my first job.
Come on, YMCA.
So they were a powerful institution in my life at two pivotal points in my life. And so when I moved here, I said, well, I need a job. Where should I go work? And right across the street from the Meadows Mall, I saw this big giant YMCA building. And so that was something that resonated with me. I said, I'm going to go work at the YMCA. Yeah. They hired me as a front desk clerk, but then they promoted me to front desk supervisor. They allowed me to continue to go to school and worked with my schedule. And so that's just a connection. When you say, how many years did it take you from learning about grants to, okay, I was right back at the YMCA getting more mentorship and learning about grants. They had me do phone-a-thons, and so I was learning about fundraising, not just grants, right? And so in I think what's important, and then I'm going to move on and talk about my business. Go ahead. I think what's important for nonprofit founders and board members who have a fiduciary responsibility to make sure that their nonprofits continue to thrive is that in our personal finances, we talk about multiple streams of income, right? People are very familiar with that concept. Yeah, hello, nonprofits. You need to be operating on multiple streams of income. And that is something that the YMCA does and has done very well. Yeah. They get grants, they do fundraising, they charge for some classes, right? Yeah, your kids are going to go there and learn how to swim. You're going to pay that registration fee for the gym membership and work it out. You're going to go there and play in the basketball tournaments, like you said. And so that organization and entity is able to continue to grow because they have multiple streams of income. Grants cannot be your nonprofit's only source of income. And I'm saying that as a grant professional.
No, hey, listen, but it all helps, though. It all helps. Knowing what I know about nonprofit, it still helps because the more you're doing, it makes it easier for you to get the bigger grants.
Absolutely, because a lot of grants ask for matching funds. And that's what some people don't realize is that, sure, I can write for this $100,000 grant, this $200,000 grant, but guess what? This grant has a 50% match. And what that means is that, okay, divide that by half. Whatever you're asking for from that grant, they want you to have half in the bank. And so your budget, you're thinking you're applying for this $100,000 grant. That's fine when you get the $100,000 grant, but your budget for that project is really $150,000 because they want you to come with a 50% match, 50 grand that you have in the bank that you can account for and not say it's on its way, but that you have that money already in the bank. That's so it's $150,000 project, not $100,000
That's
project.
Game. And then also y'all stop talking about these buzzwords and buzz phrases like the 7 and 6 and multiple streams of income, because then y'all think that y'all got to have 7 different businesses.
No, no.
Make your company, nonprofit, whatever, earn 7 different ways or multiple different ways. Yes. Not sitting there trying to create 7 different things and driving yourself crazy. Stop it. We got to stop using these buzzwords and phrases, especially in our community.
So how I started the business. So remember 2015, I had gone to that workshop at UNLV, heard the information. It's set for 2 years. Okay. What can I do? And it was just ruminating in my mind. Now, remember I told you I had been introduced to entrepreneurship. This was years earlier. And actually during the recession, 2007, 2008, a lost my job, was laid off, and had the opportunity, to now try out full-time entrepreneurship. Okay. And that's where I had my first time of success and getting to peek behind the curtain into something other than a Monday through Friday 9 to 5 job, right? Like, could I do this? Would God help me sustain, right? And so that was a trying and testing time for me. I did end up going back to the workforce for some other reasons. You'll have to invite me back to give them that testimony. But in 2017, I incorporated my business officially on paper. Got an EIN number, right? Got a state business license, set up a business bank account, had a name, grant me success that God gave me for the business, because I was going to help people to start being successful in obtaining grants, because now I had this 20 years of, or at the time, about 15 years of history behind me in being a federal grant reviewer, right? And so I was able to leverage that experience and actually start the business. And so I did that solo for 6 years up until 2023, where I was 2023, where I was able to hire my first employees.
Okay. How was COVID for you? With the business wise,
COVID helped my business.
Everybody wanted a grant. Everybody starting everything they could think of. Everybody started. Boy,
it helped my clients who were ready and who were in position. And who had done the things to prepare themselves and their organizations to be a recipient of a grant. Right. And so I have an approach in my business that it took me 6 years to learn. So from the time of 2017 of starting my business all the way up to like 2022 to figure out how to structure my business properly, my products, my services, so that I would not be spinning wheels with people who were not even ready to be a recipient of a grant and properly manage the grant.
That's normal, though. You know, that's normal for entrepreneurship. It's called the exploratory phase. You have to go through that, and people don't want to hear that. And, you know, like, you got to do that. And I'm glad you're saying that. You have to go through that. You have to understand your business cycle, understand, you know, who's what. Maybe I wanted to work with these type of people. Nah, they was the worst people. You got to get a chance to see that.
And I went through that. I had to turn away, and even still now, I figured out a strategy, because I don't want to have to turn people away any longer. So I have something in place, I believe, for everybody now.
Come on, tell me about that.
Because I did start turning people away, because I started to notice when I was just accepting anybody, because I was excited to have business and I wanted to prove to my husband that I could make this business work, right? Because that was a whole conversation. When I had to go and explain to my husband that I wanted to do this business full time and that I wanted to quit my full-time job, he was like, you can't quit that good job, right? Because he was of the mindset of, you gonna work this job for 30 years and you're gonna get a retirement, and then we gonna ride off into the sunset on vacation somewhere, right? Well, we can still go on vacation, honey. Guess what? I have a mobile business now. I can travel wherever and take my business with me. But I was able to learn that, okay, different clients are ready at different points. And so I have to put them in different buckets, right? Some clients are just in an exploratory phase. Like you said, they're curious about grants. They're seeing so much on social media now. They hear the word grant and they wonder, can I get a grant? You know, and one of the main questions that I get is, Janise, can you help me get a grant? And then, Janise, where do I find grants, right? And so some people are just curious. For those people, I just do a consultation, right? That's probably all I'm going to offer to those people, because they're really not ready to go beyond that point, right? And that's fine. So I have something for those people. Let's do a consultation. All right. If people seem like they're ready to go forward a bit more, then they have two choices with me. Either they're going to go paced model where I'm teaching them how to write the grants,
Yeah.
or they're going to work with me one-on-one to actually start doing grant preparation, where I have a checklist that we're going to run through about 15 to 20 things and say, are you really ready for a grant? Do you have this? Yes, yes. No, no, no. No, no, no. Yes, yes. And before we ever write a grant, I want to see 85 to 90% of those boxes on my checklist say yes, or else I'm not writing a grant for you. And so I had to get to a point where I built that confidence.
Yeah.
Number one, to be able to turn away business.
Yeah.
But more so than turn away business, how to actually get my clients grant ready.
Yeah.
To turn those no's to yeses. Yeah, sure, I'll help you write a grant. Do you want to pay me to write it and help get you prepared? Or do you want me to teach you how to write it? Right? And so I have the Grant Me Success University that teaches people how to write grants. And then I have grant preparation services for folks that want to work with me one-on-one.
I love it. What's the biggest misconception about what it is that you do in the grant writing space?
I think some misconceptions are that for-profits can't get a grant.
That's a big one.
Yeah, that's a misconception.
When you finish listing them, I want you to come back to that one.
For sure. That for-profits can't get a grant. That faith-based organizations can't get a grant.
I never heard that before.
Yeah.
Because faith-based organizations, that's all I used to hear when I was around. We got to get a grant. I'm like, y'all got $500 in the bank. Come on, man. Y'all trying to get somebody to give you that.
Yep.
Gee whiz, spend some of your money.
Yep. And I would say the largest misconception, I'm going to be a little abstract with this answer, is that grant money is free money.
Now
No,
expound on that, then double back to the other one.
Yeah. Grant money is not free money. Free is something that you don't have to work for, right? Gratis in Espanol, right? It's something that is just given to you, right? No questions asked, right? Grant money is not free money. You have to do a lot of work, right? A lot of work to be worthy of being a recipient of a grant and to maintain that grant and to be responsible with that grant, because something that is of concern always, I think, to funders who are providing those grant funds is something called fraud, waste, and abuse, right? And so as recipients of grants, we have to make sure that we're educated about what it is to be prepared to write the grant, to actually write the grant in a way that you're not over-promising, right? Like you just not
you didn't throwing it out there.
You're just not hyping this application up.
We gonna do that. It's gonna be $50,000 worth for this. We got 800 kids we about to help.
No, but that you're being realistic about having achievable goals, having objectives for how you're going to meet those goals in a certain timeline, in a certain time frame. How are you measuring success? So it is a lot of work to actually have a grant. And so that's one misconception. And then the other misconception about for-profits can't get a grant.
Yeah, talk about that.
So I will say that one of my recent for-profit organizations that I helped to get a grant is in the mental and behavioral health space. They assist youth with foster care that are in foster care, and those families that are engaged in the child welfare system. And we help them to get over $700,000 in grant funds from this state to provide substance abuse treatment, opioid prevention, and addiction treatment.
Do you feel like that it's because of what they were working on, or is this just something that any for-profit business can go and get if they line up the paperwork properly?
I think they got it because they were prepared.
Okay.
So I think that there are grants available across industries, right, and across sectors. And I always say you need to know your industry or your sector better than the grant writer that you're hiring, right? Because what I consider myself is like I'm a technician, right? I'm a technical writer. So I know how to work with you as the business expert in your industry, whatever it is, right? Whether it's engineering, whether it's, mental and behavioral health, whether it's beauty, whatever it is, you should know your business better than I do, because I'm just like a ghostwriter, right? You know how people, if you wanted a movie to be made about your life history, and I'm the writer, the script writer, you still have to tell me your story.
Yeah, you're right.
I don't know J. Haleem's story.
Yeah.
So you still have to tell me the story. Now, as a technician, I can go and be masterful in writing that script. And so I think about grant writing the same way. So I don't think it matters what the industry is. Of course, we have to do research and see what grant opportunities are available for your sector. But the most important thing for me is for that business to be prepared and ready for when the opportunity arises and comes along. Because when you talk about COVID and did my business thrive during COVID, it absolutely did. And so did many of the clients who were prepared and ready. But you know who didn't benefit during COVID are those businesses that were not prepared and ready. They didn't have an EIN number. They didn't have a business license in the state. They didn't have a business license in the county or the city where they were operating, because COVID money not only went to the state, it went to the counties and it went to the cities at different jurisdictions.
Got that right.
So if your business was located in the city and you didn't have a city business license, guess what? You couldn't apply for those grants. Or they didn't have a business bank account where the grant funds could be deposited. Grant money does not go to your personal bank account.
Or Cash App.
It does not go to your Cash App or
Zelle.
Venmo or Zelle. No, okay? Those grant funds are going to be sent to you ACH deposit to your business bank account, or via a physical check that you need to deposit and track through a software, not a spreadsheet, through a QuickBooks or some type of software that is keeping track of income and revenue coming into the organization, and then expenses going out.
Do you see an influx of people starting nonprofits over just traditional for-profit businesses nowadays?
I think it's both. I think that there is an awareness now about grants with the advent of social media, right? It's kind of a hot topic right now. I know in my feed, at least on my social media, probably because I'm always seeking and I'm hashtagging grants or nonprofit or small business, then it's just in my algorithm, right? And so if people have that exposure now to grants, then I think people are doing both. I have a lot of for-profit clients that also start a nonprofit, right? For various reasons. And so like the client that I shared with you that is a for-profit that got the $700,000 grant, their organization or their business owner also worked with people in the community to found a nonprofit as well. And I make that distinction because people need to know that while you can be a business owner and run a for-profit entity solo, you can be a solo entrepreneur, right? Or a single member LLC. You cannot and should not be a single member nonprofit organization, right? A nonprofit is a public charity. That's what the IRS says, right? It is a public entity. You don't own. I want to help people who have founded nonprofits to fix their language a little bit so that they don't lose their 501c3 status. Please don't tell people that you own a nonprofit, because you don't. It is owned by the public. That's why it has the tax benefit of being exempt from revenue and income taxes on the federal level. However, you are the founder, or you can be the founder, right? One individual or several individuals, because you need to have a board of directors for a nonprofit organization. You need at least a president, a secretary, and a treasurer. So at least 3 people to run and operate a nonprofit. So I'm seeing both. I'm seeing small businesses start at a really phenomenal rate, and I'm also seeing, at least I know that my business is processing a lot of 501c3 applications.
Who can't get a grant
I don't know that I have an answer for can't. Remember, because I've changed my philosophy and business model to let's be prepared. And let's help you to get in position to be a recipient of a grant.
And again, so let me get a little bit more clarity on this. So what you work writing grants, is it all federal? Is it federal, state, city? What do you do?
All of those.
All of those.
Yeah.
So let's break it down. Who can't get a federal grant?
Again, there's so many grant opportunities. The federal government gave out $1.3 trillion in federal grants. So I think I would need for your question to be a little bit more specific. If it's about small businesses versus nonprofits, I would say the split is probably about a 70-30. I would say 70% of grants go to nonprofits and 30% of grants may go to small businesses. And then a small business, remember that I try to teach my small business owners, don't get caught up on what it's called. If it's money, it's money. So I don't care if it's called a contract. Money is money.
See,
I don't care if it's called a grant.
We definitely have to go ahead and put that out there, because I understand as a business owner, you can get money from someone or an entity. You know, I've gotten what we would call grants from banks, but they wasn't grants. It was a creative way that I got financing that I didn't have to pay back to these banks.
Exactly.
So I want to make sure we're not misleading them.
No.
Now it might be good for you, because you might get an influx of calls and say, "Hey, I got this," because again, one of the things that turned me away from nonprofits is that our people were starting them for the wrong reasons. You know, oh, well, I'm not going to put up my money because if I start a nonprofit, I could just get a grant. No, that's not why you do that. You know,
you've got to have a mission and a purpose.
And not just something you write either. Like, you really should have it, you know.
Absolutely.
And so I was turned off by it because of that. But once I got my education, I understood. And people would say stuff like YMCA or bigger things, like, oh, okay. Because I wasn't thinking about it like that. It was just like, okay, I'm seeing this sister, this brother don't want to put in the hard work, because nonprofit is essentially a business too.
Oh, nonprofit is absolutely a business.
And they don't want to run it like that. They're just like, the whole campaign is, I got all this stuff and I'm going to ask for money. As opposed to saying, I'm going to create a product. I tell people all the time, like, you still have to solve a problem.
You do.
If you start a nonprofit.
Absolutely.
And so, again, when you starting a business, I want them to know that you can go get money. It might not be, like you said, called the grant from the government, but you can still work it out. I've had city partnerships where I provided a service for them, and they didn't pay me directly, but it was, we're going to fund this for you.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And it was like,
or they allow you to use a facility.
Exactly.
Or a venue.
Exactly.
And that's my point, is that money is money. I don't care what you call it.
So now we're getting there.
Yes.
Now we got there. Now we've arrived.
Yes.
We've arrived. So, because that's what I was trying to put out there, because for our for-profit businesses, definitely, yes, go and start looking for ways that you can provide a service for certain individuals, solve problems for these people. They can't give you a specific grant, but that don't mean you can't get free money. I think, and even that money is a lot more free than getting a regular grant.
Well, and so that's what I want to educate people about, is stop always looking for the free. Why are we looking for the free?
Exactly.
Right? Just look for what is going to solve a problem. Like you said, what is going to solve a problem? You still have to do the work. Right? You still have to offer a legitimate product, a legitimate service, a legitimate program, and it doesn't matter if it's for profit or if it's nonprofit. Right? It still has to be one of those three.
Call you and you'll work it out. No matter
well, they can have a consultation. Remember, I do consultations. So they can contact me.
For cost.
Yeah, and we discuss what their idea is, right? Because maybe their business is and I don't know if the business is for profit or nonprofit, right? And I call nonprofits, or or educate my clients to think about their nonprofits as a business entity, because you still incorporate it, right, with the Secretary of State. You still need to run and operate and have operations that are business-like, right? Whether it's your branding and marketing, whether it's your HR systems, whether it's your accounting and bookkeeping, all of those elements still should be prevalent in a nonprofit organization. You still have to think through all of those things the way that you would in a for-profit business.
I love it. It makes all the sense in the world. And hopefully you guys are taking this in. One thing I wanted to get from you, because you're in a business that's actually, freeing people and helping people in this space. So give me one of the best testimonies that you can remember from a client.
I would say a client that I met around 2017, 18, and I was still working at a job, right? And working to leave my job full time to work in my business. And so we met while I was working a job, but then I left my job and they knew that I was a full-time grant writer. They decided to come on with me to help them start a nonprofit organization. And we started around October of 2019. So then we started looking for grants and getting prepared for grants. We wrote a grant and submitted the grant to the state, and the pandemic hit. Right? So we didn't know. We were like up in the air, like, are you going to get the grant? Or are you not going to get it? Not only did they get the grant, but the state came back to us and said, are you sure this is the only amount of money that you want? So they gave us an opportunity to actually request more money than what we had asked for. And usually it's the opposite, right? Like you ask for $200,000 and you'd be lucky if you get $150,000, right? This was the opposite. They gave more money. And not only did they give more money, but this was back in 2020. They are still a recipient of that same grant.
Wow.
And it increases every single year.
Wow. That's amazing. Was that the experience that made you feel like you were definitely on the right path?
I already knew I was on the right path before that, right? I already knew. Otherwise, I wouldn't have left my job that was pretty secure, at the time to do the business full time. But I think that, yes, it was definitely a testimony and a demonstration for others right out there to see that
you know what you're doing. Right.
That it's not just all talk and it's not just all smoke and mirrors, for sure.
Man. I love it. This has been great for me. Hopefully for you the same.
Yes.
My people learning some things, and this is great. Please let everybody know how they can find you and all your social medias and everything like that.
Okay, well, if you guys haven't noticed by now, the name of the company is Grant Me Success. I am Janise Wiggins, the founder and principal grant writer of Grant Me Success, and I am Grant Me Success on all platforms, okay? So my website is Grant Me Success. If you want to email me, you can email me at Janise@GrantMeSuccess. If you want to find me on Instagram, guess what? Grant Me Success. On Facebook is Grant Me Success. You can find your girl.
Listen, I love your spirit. I love, your energy. Please let my people have some type of words of wisdom and encouragement.
Yeah, whether your organization is a nonprofit or for-profit, whether you have already started your business, whether or not you have ideas that you've been sitting on for many, many years, know that you can get grant ready. That is the most important thing in applying for a grant, is that you must be ready to apply, okay? Because these dates might come around real fast as to when you need to apply. They're going to open it and close it real fast, right? You might be lucky if you find that grant and you have 2 weeks to apply. So it's important to be ready. And then the second thing that is most important is that you know how to properly manage your grant, because you don't want to ever risk the grant funding being taken away from you. You want to be in a position where they will be offering your organization more money and giving you multiple years of funding. So that's the most important thing that I could give to people.
Hey, listen, that's good enough for me. This has been amazing, because for me, I really want us to continue to educate our people.
Yeah.
It's a lot of garbage out there. We can be talking about Jerry Jones and the Cowboys and Shannon Sharp and everybody else we could be talking about. I'd rather talk about this. You know, I'd rather talk about this. I'd rather us get some real information, some real game from real people, not just celebrities. Again, not just the ultra rich or beat down the ultra poor, but it's real people out here making it happen on a daily basis like yourself. You're not struggling. You know, again, our people are so bad off where we can't even celebrate our wins because it's always saying it ain't enough. Oh man, $100,000 ain't enough. $200,000 ain't enough. $1 million ain't enough. What's enough?
Listen, I helped a client who's a local singer, artist here in the state of Nevada, here in Las Vegas. She got a $3,000 grant. She was happy with that $3,000 grant. And you know what that allowed her to do? It allowed her to get the studio time, to book the studio time, to book the hairstylist, to book the makeup artist, to do a single.
And she's probably going to go back the same route again and go get 10,000. You know what I'm saying? But it's an accomplishment is an accomplishment.
Yeah, absolutely.
Growth is growth. And so that's one thing also we didn't get into about the grant situation. You touched on it. Sometimes they might give you less than what you asked for to start you off, you know, but then you can double back and go, we got to take pride in our journeys in your business or your life. Stop worrying about what other people doing or not doing. Stop worrying about this dumb stuff. People are out here actually here ready to help you. So y'all got all the information. If you're watching this, you're going to see it come across the screen so that you can go ahead and get it. And you can double back and holler at her. I don't do what she do. But,
and I don't do what he do. This is fabulous. You were an excellent interviewer.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Haleem.
So much. Listen, y'all heard it from her. Look, we didn't pay her behind the scenes to get her to say that about me. So y'all know, if you're new on here, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube page at in the studio with jhaleem.com. Back up. YouTube at in the studio with Haleem. There we go, because I'm about to get beat up because my people behind me like, no, you said that wrong. jhaleem.com is my website. And then you go to all my platforms. I am Jay Haleem is on all my platforms. So go ahead and follow me on there. But definitely click the notification bell so you can see her face come up when it's time. Come on up there, because y'all probably don't want to see me. But we got these dope people that come in here. You will go ahead and be notified. And go ahead and like and subscribe and let us know something in the comment box. So if this blessed you, let her know. Let her know so we can find, get her back on here. And we can talk about some other. She said she was already wanting to come back another time. So we got that documented and we want her back. So yeah, we love the energy. But again, this has been your boy Jay Haleem. Janise Wiggins, thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you so much for having me.
And look, go get you a grant. Grant me success. Right here. See y'all next time we come in the studio. Peace.